today we are looking at Inktense, and we're going to discuss some things like, are they light fast? I've heard some artists on YouTube say Inktense. Well, for whatever reason that volume was on. Sorry. I've heard some artists on YouTube say Inktense aren't light fast, and I've heard others say that they are. So I went to Derwent, and I'm going to share with you what Derwent has to say. So we're going to be looking at Inktense blocks and pencils, and I cannot wait to get started and share this with you. So let's dive right in. Audio and video is live. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Tara. Hello everyone who is here with me live. I see Rob is here, and George. Scroll through. Tara, Joseph. Thank you. Tara, Joseph are my moderators. Okay, so they'll be handling all the things that are in the chat. And all right, let's dive right in. So today, like I said, we are looking at Inktense. And I'm just gathering my stuff. All right, I have put links in the description for these so that you can check them out. But let us jump down to the desk and dive right into this today. All right. Hello, Jacqueline. Okay, actually, I think we're going to go this way so that I can see you as well. Okay, so Inktense. Here I just have wrap. I actually didn't link this. I meant to, but I did not. But this is just a wrap. I keep my Inktense pencils in. Now my pencils, I did not buy. I think I bought like the set of 12, something like that. And well, weird. Just here we go. Having all kinds of things go off weird today. I started with like the set of 12, and then they went on sale. I believe it was with Blick, and I just dropped something. I did. I just dropped my little paintbrush. 1 second. Okay. So I couldn't pass up the per pencil price, so I went ahead and ordered all of the colors that I wanted. I didn't get the ones that were the least light fast. I left those out. And I will definitely say that having swatched these, so I also have the Inktense blocks, and you see I did get, of course, the set of 72. These they have little foam inserts now. I guess before they didn't. They were just like the hard plastic container. But now they have the little foam insert, and they all set within those. And then there's the 2 trays. Now, if you look at these colors, there are a lot of colors that are similar. I'm going to show you the swatch, show you what I mean. I'm just going to set these off on the side. Actually, I don't know why I closed it. We're using them today. We are going to discuss a few different ways to use both the blocks and the pencils. We're going to test out some stuff, of course, as we do. So this is my swatch card of the 72 colors. And of course, here is you can get this from Derwent. I didn't link this in the description below, but I'll link directly to this so that you all can find it if you want to see for yourselves. Now this is their color chart, and you can see, if I actually turn it this way, the colors are in order. They're pretty similar. These are pretty similar when I printed it off on my printer to what I was actually seeing. So they're pretty darn close. So if you have this probably will help you greatly with knowing what color you're actually going to get, because the colors, once they have been activated, if you have used Inktense before, you know the color you put down, and then once you activate that color to solidify it, it definitely, they definitely change. There's a shift in the color. They get so much brighter, so much bolder. But let's talk about, and Jacqueline says, please link the pencil case. Oh, I absolutely will. Let me just make myself a note. I want to link you. I want to link you guys. I'll link the pencil case. And the Derwent's chart. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So let's just look at these colors for a minute. This is if you get the set of 72, like I have. Don't mind here. You see here, I skipped these two. And then of course, I was trying to figure out where did I go wrong, because as I was trying to swatch them, I knew I had missed two and messed things up. So from here down, these are, one of the rows in my Inktense box. But let's look at these yellows. Do we need both of these? How about the orange? How about here? Here. How similar are those? Look at a lot of these colors. This one. The reds, same thing. Like, there are a lot of colors that I saw that had just, see here, like the most subtle differences that I really think all 72 not really necessary. I'll use them, of course, but if I'm using this and say I run out of that block, am I going to order a new one? No, I'm going to use this one out first, because they're so similar. There are quite a few that I felt were so very similar that I think if I used up one of those, I wouldn't necessarily reorder it immediately. I'd probably use up something else that was similar to it. I'm not disappointed that I have the complete set. Some of us do have that complete set syndrome, and we just want to have all the pretty things. But I wanted you guys to see that perhaps they're not all absolutely necessary. Which means it might be easier for you to start off with, say, the 36 set versus the 72. But wait, what colors are in them? Am I going to get those, one of each of the ones where maybe I said there's two that look almost identical? Am I going to get one in each? Or how is that going to work? I will link to this chart right after the stream, and make sure that that's there for you, because this chart will also show you which colors are in each set: the 10 of 12, the 10 of 24, 36, and 72. So while we continue today, if the Inktense blocks are something that interests you, then this chart is going to be a great reference for you to look at and determine which set do you actually need. So, given that, like right here, the sun yellow and the cad yellow. Well, sun yellow is included in all of the sets. My hands are shaky today. The sun yellow is included in all of the sets. And if I look at cad yellow was so similar. So that was sun yellow and cadmium yellow. Well, they're very, very similar. But the cadmium yellow is only going to come into play if I get the 72 set. So again, it'll let you kind of look and compare and see, because even on this chart, you can see the colors. Like, look at mallard green and teal green. Right here. Mallard green and teal green. Those are so very similar. Teal green is in all the sets. You don't get the mallard green unless you go to the 72 set. So you see, like, there's different reasons. So the 72 set might not be for you. You might not need the 72 set. And that's what I wanted to share. Okay. Now let's talk light fast. Again, I've heard some artists say, they'll rave about Inktense, but then say, but they're not light fast. Well, according to Derwent, and their rating on the blue wool scale, So all of these that you see here that are a 7 or an 8, 7 and 8 are excellent light fast. And Derwent uses the blue wool test to evaluate light fastness. Light fastness refers to the chemical stability of the pigment under long exposure to light. A scale of 1 to 8 is obtained, with a value of 6 or higher being considered to be highly light fast and under museum conditions will not fade for 100 plus years. And I'll talk about that in a second. But so anything a 6 or higher, let's just take a peek at those numbers. There are very few that are lower than a 6. Very few. So yes, Derwent Inktense are light fast, with a few exceptions, like the Crimson, Shiraz. There should be another one. I think the I thought that there was another, but it's not jumping right out at me. So when I chose my pencils, I just chose the colors that I wanted, that I knew would be light fast. And there were only a couple that I don't have, like the Shiraz, and I don't know if I have Crimson, because Crimson would have, well, I have Crimson in my blocks because I have the whole 72 set, so I do have all of them. But I hope that that is helpful for you. If you've been avoiding Inktense because you've heard other artists say, well, Inktense aren't light fast. In my opinion, that's not a reason to avoid them, because according to Derwent, they are light fast. Now, how much you dilute that pigment with the water, once that water evaporates and dries and you're just left with the pigment is still light fast. Yeah. Anyhow, Rob, you have both the pencils and the blocks. Excellent. And you said you love Inktense. Well, I'm going to really get into a few different things today, and I did an experiment earlier, and I can't wait to share that with you, because I've also seen people blend them with something other than water, and I wanted to try that for myself, and we're going to actually do it live today so that you can see it. I have a couple little pumpkin sketched right here, and we're going to do that, and then we're going to try to do some art. So I'm trying to get right in and go quickly with the information up front. But look at the set that you think you're going to work with the most and go for that. Don't be deterred because somebody else has said that they're not light fast, because clearly, according to Derwent, that is not the case. But let's talk about light fastness just for a quick second. Because I hear so many people say, well, it's not light fast. Or they say, well, they said it's light fast, but I stuck it in my window and it faded so quickly. There's a little important piece of information that I just read here that I just want to address. And this is just my opinion. This is how I look at it. And we can disagree, and that's fine. However, it says that they use the blue wool scale. Derwent also says that light fastness refers to the chemical stability of a pigment under long exposure to light. Long exposure to light. Okay. A scale of 1 to 8 is obtained, and the value of 6 or higher being considered to be highly light fast and under, here's the key phrase, under museum conditions will not fade for 100 plus years. So when you take your pigment and you stick it in a window so that that south-facing sun that's just blasting it with UV starts to fade it, I think, yes, that's going to give you an inclination of a pigment's ability to fade over time, because you are super accelerating that process. But again, I see so many people, so many other artists on YouTube going, it's not light fast because I put it in my window and it started to fade. Those are not museum quality conditions, and therefore how can we say that this means it's not? We can't accelerate a museum quality condition. A museum quality condition is not going to have it being blasted with UV rays. So that's just my own personal take on it. I don't know what you think. Drop me a comment. Maybe we'll stir up some stuff. I don't know. But I just think, excuse me, that we worry, or I hear people worry so much about light fastness. And in the beginning, like, as I started to do more work professionally, I really started to kind of move away from some of the products that I loved to work in, because I was like, oh, they're not light fast. I can't do this. But actually, I can. I can work in whatever I want to work in. And so can you. Use the supplies that you have. Enjoy them. And just know that if something isn't light fast, or if you've done your test and you think this is going to fade so much faster, and you know that that means there's a risk, somebody could hang that in their house and the UV light could be hitting, that piece of artwork, and it could be fading, then you know what? Maybe you sell prints of it or something. But yes, absolutely, Rob. UV glass. Always, right? Put it, if you're worried about something that is maybe not as light fast as another material, put that piece of artwork under some UV glass and help give it a little extra protection. So basically, that was just a whole bunch to tell you, I think you should be using and enjoying the supplies that you have, and not being as tied up into, is it light fast? Or, oh my gosh, they swore it was, but so-and-so on YouTube did a test and it just faded, so it must not be. Every time you read information about light fastness, it says under museum quality conditions. If we are not putting them under museum quality conditions, we are putting more stress on that, more UV, more light. Yes, of course, it can fade faster. Anything can. Now, the ones that you put in that window and they don't change, you can rest assured, if you use those pigments, that your artwork is definitely going to last and be around for many, many, many years to come. But don't get so tied. I guess that's just my message. Don't get so tied up in that light fast and information that it deters you from creating with something you enjoy. Because that happened to me at one point, and with much more research, I now just make sure that I'm paying attention, especially if I'm doing something that is, that I know I'm selling the original of. Of course, I'm going to make sure that I do my best due diligence to create artwork that's going to last. But if I'm creating something just for me and I just want to have fun, and maybe I'm going to sell, if I love it, then I'll just sell prints of it. Let's not be super precious. And don't deter yourself from trying Inktense because somebody else told you they weren't light fast. There was the info from Derwent, and so now moving on. Let's move on. Okay. Let's talk about ways we can use them. So, and I'm sorry, I'm hoping, I was determined I was going live today because I have been sick. And the more I talk, usually the harder it gets to breathe. The more winded I get, but we are going to try to get through this today. All right. The pencils. I haven't swatched out. If I did, I don't know what I did with it. I have not swatched out all of my pencils yet. And I have to figure out where I'm going to set this. It's probably beside me over here. Okay. Our pencils, when you get the pencils, one of them that you will get is actually the outliner. And so the outliner is not going to move when you hit that with water. But let's talk about some ways that we can use these. Aside from, we're just putting down the pencils and then you activate them with water. And then when they dry, they're supposed to be permanent. And I did something earlier. Let me just... I don't know how this is going to work out. Okay. So I did something earlier. And on this, I did 2 leaves. I will discuss this one in a moment, but this is now completely dry. The back of this is dry. And I'm going to take some, let me just grab a brush. This is my Derwent brush. Came with one of my, I think it was my water-soluble graphite pencils or something like that. Anyways, just a brush from Derwent. And now getting that wet and going back over this, I'm actually getting movement there. I wasn't expecting to get movement there. Perhaps there was just, I might have touched something that I didn't actually activate before. So that's, I don't know, that's still, I didn't have a ton of stuff on that from my pencil, and that was very wet. So that's interesting. This one did, and I thought that, well, we're just gonna give this a try. We're gonna do this experiment one more time, and I will make sure that everything is good and wet, and then we'll come back and we'll look at this again, because this was blended with water. This was blended with alcohol. And after I blended that with alcohol, I came back and I thought, well, that really, I was able to kind of get, you can see that, more color moving on this side with the alcohol. This side, it was still wet, so I was waiting for that to dry. And I did that about, I don't know, about a half an hour or so before the stream. The paper felt more than dry. So that, I'm curious, because usually you put Inktense down, you activate them, and they're supposed to be permanent. Has anybody else had that issue before? Let me know. Let's put some down here and see. I'm going to use the pencils for this, because this is, right now, we're talking about ways that we can use our pencils and then activate them. So I'm going to do a pumpkin, and I'm just going to grab a couple pencils and apparently knock down some supplies off my table. So I'm grabbing tangerine, a little burnt orange, and I'm going to take some sun yellow, and we'll just start right there. Okay. So with our tangerine, actually, I'm going to put in some of my highlight areas first. See, Rob says, thank you, Rob. Rob said, I have never had it move after drying. I was not expecting it to move, so that's why, like, that right there kind of shocks me. But let's duplicate this experiment here. So I'm going to fill these both in the same, putting where I kind of want my highlight around the edge of this to be. So again, these pumpkins, work at making them look pretty much, do everything. I'm going to do everything exactly the same. Right, let's bring this up. Maybe we can get a little larger view here of what we're doing. And then taking the tangerine. I didn't pull color from my stem, which the stem, fun facts, isn't that called, I believe that is a peduncle. Pretty sure that's what it's called. Okay, Joseph, I'm glad that you just said that, because we will add that into this little experiment. we will add that into. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Autofocus. Why? Let's just. Alright, sorry if I bumped the camera. I just set that so it will lock on and hopefully stop giving us a hard time. Thank you, Joseph. My apologies if I blurred you out and messed with anybody's eyes. I'm just very lightly filling this in. Ugh, really? Thank you. Alright, I'm gonna leave my hand here because maybe if I just leave my hand here, as this pencil moves back and forth, it'll stop doing that. I'm sure once I get rid of most of this white of the paper. I don't know why it's doing that. It doesn't usually. Yes, gremlins. It should have locked its focus when I just touched the camera, but all right. Now I'm going to grab the burnt orange. And there's a fun way, like, I heard it was, hold on, I'm trying to think of the YouTube creator that said it, or where I heard it first. I believe it was Emma Lefebvre that did it, talking about, and she was doing it in the context of painting watercolor pumpkins. So, she was creating watercolor pumpkins, and she was saying that it's so easy to paint pumpkins. If you think of them, it's like you start with an oval, and then it's like a C shape, and backwards C shape, and then a C shape, and they keep kind of lifting up a little higher each time. So you have the oval, the next one comes up higher, the next one's come up higher, and you just have these C shapes that you're painting, and they're just quick, easy pumpkins. And I thought that is definitely a great way to look at, you know, the shape or the form, how it actually looks. And yeah, give it a try if you like watercolor. Just paint that oval and just do some quick C shapes around it, and I think you'll see, no pun intended, that it does work and gives you great little pumpkins. Okay, so now we have our little pumpkin shapes, and now maybe that will. Okay, so Rob is saying that was a great point, right? As far as the pencils moving. Well, we're going to find out. So we are certainly going to find out. I'm just going to grab, let's see, some sepia. Let me get my sepia pencil. I think some tan. Oh, no, tan needs, well, no, tan needs a sharpening. So I'm going to grab the mustard and I think fern. And we're just going to give, this is fern. Put some color into these. So that was fern. This one is mustard. Just thinking of once those pumpkins have been picked, it starts the part of the stem that was still attached starts to dry out. And then this one is our sepia. Okay, so now let's set those aside. And I have here, this is just some alcohol. Right, that is just isopropyl alcohol. I do have my water brush. So this is Derwent. I did link these below. This is the Derwent. Let's not open that and throw water all over the page. So this one will be our water one since I just touched that with water. So this is the Derwent push button. I don't care for this one as much personally because I think it puts out too much water. It doesn't give me as much control. Whereas these, and I did link these, it has the 3 different, so the 1 is a very fine, the 2, which is what I'm going to grab, is a little larger brush, and then the 3 is actually like a flat. So those come in a set, whereas the push button one that I have is, there it goes again. I don't know why it's doing that today. So the push button one I have is here, and that is very similar in size to the number 2. You see it's just a little bit, the number 2 is a little larger. Let me compare that. So I don't know if anybody has these and you're wondering. Yeah, see, it's almost in between the 1 and the 2. It's a little fuller than the size 1. And then you have, there's the 2. So I hope that kind of helps. And what I like about these is that the caps, the caps will post on both. Okay, so the caps do post. These have like squared off nubs at the base, so they're not going to go rolling away on you. This one, the shape of it, is more oval, but also you have the edge on that cap. But that one doesn't want to, doesn't want to stay. It goes on there, but it doesn't necessarily stay. So it would sit if you were painting, and it was upright, but it might be a little annoying. Okay. So I have those 2 brushes. Let me put the size 1 away. And and then I have the alcohol. So I will be using my Derwent paintbrush with the alcohol to activate this one. I'm going to do the water first, because I was going to put the water up top so I wouldn't be moving my hand over it. But so on this one, I can squeeze this end, and you see I can squeeze the water out. but it really, I find that it really flows quite nicely. Let me just make sure, because I'm seeing color on this, that there's no color actually going to come out of those bristles, and there's not. So, okay. All right. Oh, right. So I'm going to start with my yellow. Just working in my yellow areas where I'm going to want to be highlighted. And activate those pigments. And then I'm going to move into the tangerine color. Again. I don't know why it is doing that. They should be locking on those pumpkins. I just bounced you, sorry. Hopefully that will work this time. It does not like us today, no. And you're going to see the other thing that I found was like the way that this is grabbing the pigment from that tangerine and moving it around and letting me mix over the yellow. When I did with the alcohol on my leaves, it didn't move so much. They kind of like they went where they went, and I think it's because I think the reasoning is because the alcohol dried so much faster. It wasn't still, and this is watercolor paper. I didn't even mention the paper. This is watercolor paper. This is that Be Inspired paper. If you've seen my latest video, I shared this paper and talked about it. I'm liking it thus far. I am liking it. Okay. I'm really going to get in there and make sure, I'm going to make sure that I have gotten all of this plenty wet. I'm going just kind of beyond where my lines were. Even if that kind of feathers it out, because I want to be sure I have definitely activated every bit of the pencil that I put down. Really trying to scrub where I put the line of the darker burnt orange. All right. Then let's come through and do our little peduncle. I heard that the other day, and I thought that was interesting. That the stem or the stalk from the vine that it was cut from had a name. Okay. So there is our water one. I'm just going to clean this brush out. All right. So now I'm going to grab my brush and the alcohol and do this one. I can definitely, no problems activating it. And it looks like it's doing it again. I think it's because I put my hand and covered over the pumpkin. We've used white paper before. This is, I don't know what is going on. One thing that I'll say that I noticed is if you blend with the alcohol, if you're seeing the colors tend to, they don't move around as much. That could be handy if you're putting something in and you just want to dissolve it and set that, you know, set the ink. Maybe this is a great way to help set it without having to worry about it moving, because it definitely does not want to move very far. It's not like when I hit this, you see how much I could blend the color and how much it moved even over to the yellow with the leaf, and I'll show you those again. See, it doesn't completely move and fill into all the tooth, even into all the tooth of the paper, whereas this definitely sunk in there. And you see when I go back over that yellow, it's not covering like this. The orange went over the yellow, and it's not doing that. It's like when you blend with the alcohol, the inks stay more where you've put them versus being able to blend into the water and move around on the surface of the watercolor paper. With the alcohol, it kind of is, it's dissolving it, but it's dissolving it in place and it's just kind of staying right there. And I'm using quite a bit. Like, there was just a big drop of alcohol on that. Let me see if I can show you the other side. I'm using plenty of alcohol. You see how wet that is versus you don't even see the wetness from the one with the water. So I'm using plenty. It's just not moving it around on the surface of the paper. So can you see uses for that with that? Is that something that might be helpful? I would definitely have to build up more layers, you see, to blend this down, because look at how much I have the texture of the paper showing versus here. I have another fun technique though that I'm going to show you here in a moment with the blocks. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. And see how this one, everything kind of blended in. Here, I'm liking the texture and the look I'm getting much better using the alcohol. Because everything kind of stayed right where I put it. So I like the look of that, the peduncle, the stem, better. And everything is definitely covered. Okay, so that's with the alcohol. Now, set that aside. Let me show you up close. You see the difference? This is definitely blended in much more to the tooth of the paper with that water versus alcohol. Everything kind of stayed right where I put it. It dissolved the ink, but it stayed put. This not only dissolved it, I was able to push things around and blend more. So I think both could definitely have their uses. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Now I'm going to give these time to completely dry. And I can see the dimpling on the paper where I had the water. And we can also see the alcohol coming through where that was placed. This will dry off and disperse much faster than the water. But we're going to let both kind of do their thing. Let's look at Inktense blocks. And I said I was going to do... We're going to end up needing a palette. So I just have a palette here. Let's talk about how we can use Inktense blocks. Slide my top tray is beside me now. My bottom tray is still in the tin off camera to the right. I'm just going to close that brush up. Now, talking about these brushes, like I said, this one, if I squeeze that, like, I barely squeeze that and I'm squeezing drops of water out. I didn't care for that so much because it just, like, the water was going much too quickly. And then, let's just jump back here. With the other brush, this brush, when I squeeze that, you see, like, it takes a bit before I get a drop to actually come out of the brush. So I felt that I had more control with this type versus this type. And they're both derwent. But I just wanted to share that so that, you know, if there's a way that you might like one over the other, it'd be easy for you to decide which one of their brushes might be right for you. That's a good point, Joseph. I'm not sure. That's a point. It's possible. It's possible. But if it is, if it's activating the ink and setting it, I still think that's a useful thing to know. Whereas if I just put a little bit in somewhere and maybe I want to make sure it stays right there and doesn't kind of feather out into something else, maybe I grab a brush. Like I put, you guys know I keep alcohol in one of my brushes like this. I could just use that and activate it. All right, I wanted to grab some of this and we're going to just apply. This is now being applied from the block with water. Kind of using it like it was a watercolor. I'm just going to leave that set there. We'll let it dry and we'll come back and see, does that move once it's dry? and does painting from the blocks versus working from the pencil set better after we add water. Because you see here, even on this one, the leaves that I drew, you can see a lot more, like it didn't want to move and blend, whereas this one, I was able to really blend and move that orange even up over the yellow, of course, before I smeared it with the water. But so that camera's really gonna drive me crazy today, sorry. So yeah, blended with alcohol versus blended with water, different effects, just good to know what they do. All right, so I'm gonna let that set. Now with Inktense blocks, you just saw me use the brush. Good question. Good question. I have not. I actually have. Let me see if it's right here, Rob. OMS. Okay. So here's my brush that has OMS in it. Because Rob's inquiring mind wants to know. Or have you used it, Rob, and you're just asking if anybody else has? So let's just do a real quick... Yep, you are correct, Tara. I did have some sitting right next to me. Alright, let's put in some of that yellow. I'm just kind of recreating the leaf here. Then I'm going to come into the tangerine, and it was actually, I didn't grab a red, did I? That's all right. We're just going to go tangerine, and we'll go into the burnt orange, and that will be the color that our leaf is. So get that pigment down, and of course we'll finish off kind of this little tri-toned leaf. Overlap where those come together. Try to blend. Let those colors blend in. All right. So the question was OMS. OMS with, and I see that that is off screen, so I will move that down before we add anything. So here we go. Pop that open away from my work. All right. So with OMS, I should have started. Let's clean that out and start. There we go. We'll start up here where the yellow is. Whoa, I just got a drop. I didn't want that to fall off there. So what did I do? Squeeze it a little harder. Let's make some more. Now, for using like the odorless mineral spirits versus alcohol, I would say the effects are better with the alcohol. It also is not moving. It's not floating around on the surface or anything like that. Definitely has activated the pigment. Definitely. But this, though, unlike the alcohol, you see I can move some of that color down. So there you go. Okay. No, yeah, you're definitely not. Well, if you are, Rob, then so are the rest of us, and I don't mind. Because I get excited about this stuff too. I love experimenting, right? Explore it. Explore your supplies. What can you do? What can you use to blend them? What can you use them? What other ways can you use them? All right, so I'm just going to pop that brush back up here on my little around so I remember where that's at. Move that towel that I just used the OMS on, because I know that for me, OMS will give me a headache. Okay. So you see, again, like the alcohol, which is pretty much dry, that OMS, that plenty of OMS went down there because I squeezed that a little too hard, and yeah. But I'll let you be the judge. So with the OMS, it was similar to the alcohol, but we were able to move it a little bit more than with alcohol. But not nearly as well as the water. Definitely lets you blend the best. It lets you dissolve it in and blend it the best. So once these are all dry, remind me before we finish today, we're going to come back over all three of these, and we will try to do it at the very end. We're going to come back over all three of those and really see, does it move? And take this one as well. Does it move? Hopefully it won't. And I just didn't do that one enough from earlier today. All right, so your blocks. How can you use your blocks? You can take your block directly, of course, to whatever you're working on, and you can make marks. I can make thin marks, right? I can get thicker marks. I could use the whole side of this and get some really broad marks in there. So here, oh, that's excellent, George. So here, that's using the blocks directly to the paper. Okay, so we can use them directly on the paper. Then come back through and we can activate those. Now you'll see here, like with pencils, where I've made some of those marks on the paper, those marks are kind of staying. Do you want to have those marks there? You know, that's entirely up to you. Some of it, I think, adds to, you know, the texture. So, you know, it can be good. But if you don't want, yes, you absolutely do. You absolutely do, George Pencilart. Thank you very much. Yeah, fun facts. I'm a new affiliate now with Walmart. So guys, if you don't know, all of you that watch YouTube on a regular basis and you hear your favorite creators say links in the description below, that link in the description below is just one of the ways that your favorite creators are able to keep making the content that you like to consume. One of the ways that you can help them is by using their affiliate links. And you don't have to purchase stuff for art. You can purchase anything. And so now with Walmart, I got it because of this paper. Let's talk about that because I did not share it with you. This is the Bee Inspired Watercolor Artist Studio Pad. Guys, this has 50 sheets. 50 sheets in it. It was less than $10. It was less than $10. So far, it is not like and it is the Bee paper company. It is not the 100% cotton Bee paper that I really like to use with watercolor. This does not say 100% cotton, so I am going on the assumption, which I hate to do, but I'm going on the assumption that means cellulose wood pulp type paper. However, oh, and they have, it says right here, they also have pads in drawing, sketching, mixed media, and of course this is the watercolor. There are quite a few different sizes and surfaces to choose from, and right there, I'm going to leave that on the screen for a moment. This shows the usage for those papers, one dot being not recommended, 2 being average, and 3 being excellent for. And so between graphite, colored pencil, you could use on any of them, they say. Same with charcoal, graphite, pastels. Once you get into pen and ink, they don't recommend the sketching, but the mixed media, watercolor, or drawing, As for markers, the best ones are going to be the mixed media or the watercolor. And once you're into watercolor, again, mixed media or watercolor, and same for acrylic. So they're saying acrylic ink, acrylic paint, you can use on these papers. So far, I'm loving it. I have been using it a bit lately. It is a huge pad for a great price. But so to say, you do not need to just purchase art supplies. You can choose to help out your creators in anything. So especially with Walmart, if you shop Walmart for other things, there's a general link to Walmart in the description below, and you can click on that, and it definitely helps the channel. Nothing that you purchase ever costs you more, but it does give a little bit back to the creators that you like and helps them keep doing what they do. And I greatly appreciate all of you who are using those links, because stuff like purchasing this paper was possible because of you guys using some of my links already. So thank you very much to everybody who chooses to do that. So thank you, George. Okay. All right. So George is making some ornaments out of some pine cones, right? Ornaments? Did I hear that right? Or Christmas decorations? Yeah. Yep, Christmas ornaments out of pine cones. So cool. You have to share a picture with us, George, over in the art group. If you are not a member of the art group yet, it is available on MeWe or Facebook. It is linked or shown on your screen right down there in the bottom center. We'd love to have you join us. Okay, so ink the blocks right to the paper. That's one of the ways we can use them. Another way we can use them, you saw me do it here. We can take our brush with water, and we can grab hold of these and paint right on our paper. So we can do it that way. We can do another thing. We can, of course, we could take a palette, right? We could take one of our blocks, and we could just gently scrape that. Then, who doesn't have a million pipettes in their studio? We can take a pipette, perhaps add some water, grab a brush, mix that up, and now I can make much more diluted washes. Well, I can keep adding pigment and dissolving this and make some darker washes if I wanted to, right? But we can do it that way, and we can dilute. We could mix colors that way as well. So we can do it like that. But here's a way. I was telling you guys something new for you. You guys have seen me do this before with a different material. I'm going to share with you. This is something I got from the Dollar Tree. Okay? Just because this is the cheapest place to get it. This is actually a foot file. I'm not getting, it's new. It's never been used on anybody's feet. That'd be disgusting. Ugh. Anyways, on one side, it has like a more coarse sandpaper. I can use that to sharpen things like my a charcoal stick or a pencil or whatever. If I don't want to, if I don't want to sharpen it in the sharpener, of course, I can use that side. But this side, the file side, this is what, you ready? I've shown this to you guys before, like I said, with a different material. I don't even know what color this is. I just grabbed one of the darker blocks to make sure that everything would show up for you. I still have one of my hockey brushes sitting here from the last video, if you guys saw those, with the inks. That was so much fun, exploding that ink into that water. Okay, and just because I wanted a bit of water, so I can take some water on my paper, right? Get that paper wet. This I would find very handy for, let's say, painting the ground. And I have that is all, it's all painted out. It's dry. Our Inktense aren't re-wetting or aren't reactivating once we come in and wet them again. I can take a nice wet wash over the top of it, and I can just take something like my file here, right? Kind of like when I use the Brusho. I did not apply hardly any pressure at all to that, right? And then you see there, that is in that wash. So I'm activating all of that ink. And look at the different colors that make that up. Boom. I could also, if I want this to move even perhaps a little bit more, right? We'll give it a spritz. So I could add more texture. Maybe I want maybe I'm doing sand, or I want to add more texture to the ground or to a rock or something like that. I could also do it that way where the paper's wet and I just kind of use a file to kind of scrape that down. I could do the same. I don't have to have a file. I mean, you saw I just did it with a little craft knife to get some of that into the palette. Hello, Teresa Mazzotti. Thank you for joining us. So you can do it that way too. But I just thought that was a neat way. You know, I love Brusho, so I just thought, but it doesn't move. It doesn't move and explode and take off like Brusho does. It doesn't have that the flowiness in the water like Brusho does. But I can even come back in here where this, see where I've wet this, and I can manipulate that into the wash. So you can definitely play around with some of this. Does that give you ideas of other ways to use your Inktense, your blocks? I hope so. It's fun to experiment. And that did not, like I said, that barely took anything off. I'm sure I could put more, more in there. I could add more colors. And apparently that one was broke when I just picked this up. One of my blocks was broken, and there's actually a big piece of it right there. Yeah, we'll just activate that, and it is what it is. Right, and I tap that out of there. Again, give it a spritz and let it move around. So yeah, it's not going to move like a Brusho would, but you can certainly add texture in that way. So there's another technique that you can use with your Inktense, and this was definitely a big chunk of that pigment on the page, right? And you can come back in, you can blend it together. All right. Now, because this broke, this brings me to another thing that you can do with your Inktense. Let me just grab, I should have them right here. Okay. They should have been right there. Oh, I see them. I have little drawers right underneath my desk here. So Inktense are also available in half pans. And you can get the sets. So let's just talk about half pans. I think that's going to be a little too big. The way that it broke. So I actually have, sorry about the plastic like ASMR going on here. Okay. I could take my blocks or a piece of my blocks. And yeah, see, that's too big for that. But there's a whole pan. I could actually place that into a half pan. In this case, that piece fits into a whole pan. And I could create my own custom, my favorite colors, make a little set, and be able to take that with me. I can now use this just like I would like a watercolor block. So do I need to buy? I chose not to. I chose not to purchase the Inktense pans because it was my intent that I'm just going to cut. So I'll take, a half pan, and I'm just going to cut a piece of my whatever my favorite colors end up being, whatever colors I like to use most often, and I will place those in some half pans, and I'm going to then put those in, have those in a palette that I can take with me. You might say, but Angela, they're gonna fall out and make a mess and go crazy. Well, I'm gonna take them, my plan, and I'll share with you how that works out. I mean, I could take like a little dab of vegetable glycerin or something and put it in the bottom to kind of stick that to it and get that to stay, because vegetable glycerin is in your watercolors anyway, and it might help it stay attached to the pan. They may stay once they get wet. They may get wet and then kind of adhere into that pan, and then that's a moot point, and I don't have to worry about it. So yeah, that is my plan. I am going to make my own set, customize my own set of the derwent Inktense blocks based on the colors that I find I might use most often. So I hope that is another tip that helps you. If you get, I think that makes the blocks so very versatile. I wish I would have got the blocks first. I got the pencils first. And I can see a use for the pencils like over top, like once this is dry, if I painted it on there, coming back with the details like what Rob was describing. But if you didn't, if I could only have one, blocks or pencils, I think I would choose the blocks, because I've just shown you can definitely, right, we can definitely use them just like we could the pencils, draw right on our paper. But we can then blend them. We can grab that with the water and paint on. I just think they're more versatile. I can get just as fine a detail, with a paintbrush. Like, say if I came in with a liner brush, right? I can get just as fine a detail with that liner brush as I could a pencil. Sometimes more so, right? Because I can get a finer line than I can as far as sharpening that point. So, yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Hi, Starving Artist Collective. Thanks for joining us. The trying to get a tardy slip. It's funny. So yeah, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. If you're watching this, if you're with me here live, drop it in the chat. If you are watching the replay, drop me a comment. If you have both and you could only choose one, would you go with the block or would you choose the pencil? So that's a great point, Rob. Let's talk about that, because Rob says the only knock on the blocks is you'll eventually, like, the color will disappear. So on these blocks, and I try to find one that you'll be able to see it well. They're hard to see anyways. I still have mine in their original order, so I can go through the swatch. But on that block, you see on the end there's its color. It's stamped into the block. So I have started using mine on the opposite end, but you see 0750. What you can do is, I saw Lindsay, she does hers this way, the Frugal Crafter. On the side of hers, she actually put like a sticker paper and marked it. So it has like the number and then a color swatch. Okay? And if you do it that way, then you just always have to put them back in. But you'll see, like, if you're using them, I mean, you could leave them sitting up on the side so I can easily come back in, but I know where they're going to go when they're done. Um, so yeah, you were absolutely correct that the numbers can go away, and Rob agrees, blocks 100%. Yeah, I wish I started with the pencils, and I wish I hadn't. I wish I, if I would have gone with the blocks, I probably would have got the 12 set of pencils to try it, and I probably never would have made that choice to get the rest of my. I don't know. Maybe I would have. I don't know. I don't know. Excuse me. Joseph says blocks, and Jacqueline's going to try the blocks first. Yeah, I definitely recommend that. And I definitely, like I said, I'm going to link the chart afterwards, and I will share it over on my Clark Fine Art page. I'm going to actually share this there. But I'll do it both MeWe and Facebook for those of you who are on either platform, so that you can see this, because look at the chart. It tells you what colors come in which sets, and that will help you make that choice. Unless you have that full set syndrome, or there's a color that you absolutely love that's only available in the 72 set. And then again, still, you can buy these open stock. So maybe there's a couple colors that you see and you go, well, I'm just going to get the 36 set. Go to Blick. There is a link to Blick in the description below, and I'm going to go to Blick and I'm going to get the 36 set, and then perhaps you will I'm trying to separate this as we're talking here. Grab that set of 36 and then add open stock the other colors that you are interested in, and build your collection that way. You could do that as well. So yeah, Rob does. Actually, he props it on the side. If you swatch them, you can always figure out what you need. Yeah, absolutely. So what I did with mine also, I haven't written the numbers on these yet. I'm probably going to redo the swatch card because I messed it up. So I'll redo it that sits in here. You are correct, Rob. That's a great point. I already bought an extra white as well. I'm anticipating that I will just go through the white quickly. And so, yeah. Really? Well, that's interesting, Joseph. I don't know why they're doing that. There's no reason on my end that they should be. So yeah, I'm probably gonna redo this, and then what I'm gonna do is I'll come back with I'll take a pigment liner or something, and write the numbers on the color, and that way there I'll know, and then I can max it out, because as long as I keep them in the same order, and I have every intention of not actually working wet in here. I think that what I want to do is, like I said, I'm going to take the smaller piece and I'm going to put that into a half pan, so that when I'm working with a wet brush to paint with these, I can do it just like I would my watercolors, because that's how I like to work. So for me, that's what I'm going to do. I wouldn't want to completely do it in here all the time. That would get wet. Although what I did for swatching, as I swatched these, was I just came in with my brush and grabbed some from the top and went. But if I wanted some nice juicy, washes or large areas, I'm going to prefer to have that in a pan. So that's just how I'm going to do it. But then I'd still have the remainder of my sticks available. And again, I'm taking off the end that's stamped England and leaving the number. I could still work from the opposite end up if I was trying to draw right with the sticks. So yeah, that's my, I'll probably look at the 36 set or something like that. I have a palette that is empty and ready to start filling up with fun stuff. So I think that's what's going to become my Inktense palette. And I do like the fact that I can put them down, work with them like watercolor, but they'll stay permanent. I can build my layers and not reactivate what is below. Kind of like working with the acrylic inks that I've been doing this month also. Okay, so I did a quick little sketch here, and we're just going to paint with some of these. I'm going to leave this, I'm just going to set this aside to dry, and we will come back and test those at the end. Remind me, because if I start to forget, I make sure you remind me. All right, and I think it looks like something got on the paper there. It might have been water coming through or something from above. Okay. This was just a fun thinking Halloween. One of my favorite, a lot of people like Hocus Pocus and stuff. I love Ichabod Crane is one of my favorite characters. The Headless Horseman. Love it. I haven't watched it yet. I need to watch that. This before spooky season is done. But to give a nod to the Headless Horseman, that is what I'm doing today. Working on a jack-o'-lantern with the hand kind of outstretched, holding that pumpkin. All right. So I'm just going to paint with them directly from the block, like I was just talking about. And we're just going to start putting in some color. And we'll come back through and build up values. So if anybody else has questions about them or other things that perhaps you wanted me to try, make sure you drop those in the, if you're here with us live, drop that in the comment section. Right now I'm just kind of sketching through part of this. So I had the bottom of the smile of our pumpkin. I'm thinking something that'll be quite a bit more like animated, or illustrative rather, excuse me. Just kind of negatively painting around where the hand will go, or the fingers. Do I have lines on this paper? I have some very faint lines. I did do a rough sketch beforehand. So yes. Yeah, I wish I could just tell you, no, I'm just making it up as I go. No, I did do a rough sketch of the design I had in mind before I started. that sounds good, Tara. You guys talking about your snacks. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just go for it. Like I know when I was doing work with like acrylic, sometimes I would. And then other times where maybe like if I wasn't working from a reference, but just working, you know, from a design or an idea I had in my head. And I'm finding that I'm painting along with the direction that the fingers are, which is not what I want. Not the way I want this to look at all. I want to follow, you know, the actual roundness of the pumpkin. So, need to kind of be conscious of that, I think. And for a second, I thought it looked like I had an extra finger. Like I gave him 6 fingers. Rashers. That's like bacon, right? That's what we call bacon, Tara. Like real thick bacon. I think we would here in the U.S. we would call it like country style bacon. That thick cut. Yeah, bacon. Bacon. Bacon makes everything great. See, now I definitely doing this from, and you can't see it here, but you know, I'm working with this color down here, and definitely like versus working off of the block like this, I think I would much rather have these on a watercolor palette. It would definitely be a bit easier. So I'm really looking forward to getting these into a palette. And the reason like I didn't just get the ones in pans was because I knew I still wanted the use of the sticks. And if I bought them in pans, then I couldn't take that out and use it like I can the sticks. But I knew I could take some sticks and put pieces of those into a palette. Into a half pan and then into a palette rather. And see here, it's like I don't have a spot to kind of tap off that excess water. My paint's not going as far. My brush is really quite dry there, and it's going to leave those marks, which I don't mind if it does leave extra marks on the paper because it's just going to add to the texture of the pumpkin. No, what we call a biscuit, and then what they call a biscuit in the UK is like more like a cookie, right? Pretty sure. Pretty sure. A biscuit is kind of like yeah, that's hard, huh? It's not really a roll. A roll would be bread. A biscuit is more dense than bread. We're starting to get there. Sweet like cookies. Yeah, see, Tara? Yep, that's what I thought. Yes, savory scone. A scone. Yeah, that's probably close. Scones, I think, are just flatter than what our, our biscuits here would be. Yeah. I think we're all in agreement there. Now I am finding that as I'm using this one, let me show you, like grabbing the water from that. Will that focus for me? Focus. Just because I kept going over where it was said England, I'm kind of creating a little well there, and on that stick. And I'm gonna let this, like I said, this will fully dry out. Before I cut these to put into a palette, but and this is just, I'm just trying to block in right now. I definitely need to darken a lot up on this. This is just the base. Get me started. If we don't finish today, I will finish this one and put it out for you as a completed video, just seeing this guy come to life from beginning to end. And perhaps I'll share that with you guys on Tuesday if we don't finish today. I am working on my Halloween special. I decided I wanted to do another one this year. So that is in the works. I will not be live next week, so we can kind of get some announcements out of the way. I will not be live next week. I have an appointment that's going to keep me from it. So I will have a video on Thursday for you, though. So I won't be here live, but there will be a video. Okay. Yeah, and get some dry brushing on this paper. I'm really liking this paper. So far, I am really liking this paper. thought about doing another hat this year, making one that was different. Because if you guys remember the hats that we did when I collaborated with Joseph last year, I was like, oh, that was fun. Maybe I make another hat this year. Still haven't rolled it out. Still have not rolled it out. Might do something where I could do a different hat each year. Sounds like a fun thing to do in October. I wanted to do Inktober, and of course, having gotten sick, that kind of threw that right out the darn window. But I'm still considering. Haven't quite decided. Still plenty of time to do another hat. So I don't know if that's something that Joseph is interested in doing. When we did it last time, I kind of made mine like it was a witch's hat, and his was more like it was the wizard's hat. I don't know, that was fun. If you guys missed that, that is available on the channel, mine and Joseph's. If you are interested in checking those out from last year, that was a fun project for me. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so you did too. Okay. Oh, excellent. Ah, thanks. See, Rob went back and watched the hats, and Starving saw the hats. Yeah, Jacqueline, definitely check it out. See if they have it. It's Walmart. Like I said, I do have a link in the description below to it on Walmart. I don't know, Jacqueline, if you click that link, if it'll just automatically take you over to your Walmart for Canada. But it is there. And again, it's made by the Bee Paper Company. It is not the Bee 100% cotton paper. I don't want anybody to purchase it thinking that's what they're getting, because it is definitely different than that. But I am liking it so far. Are you asking me that question, Joseph? The hats from last year for magical people. I think that is how we referred to them. Hats for magical people. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, we both did actually. Teresa, Joseph and I did them last year, because Joseph came up with his own version, which I absolutely love. I love Joseph's hat. I completed his as well because we had shared the line work for them last year. And I know we had others that actually made hats as well and shared them with us in the art group. So that was fun. Hello. Hello, Caution Artists at Play. Oh, look at that. We have the start of our pumpkin. We're starting to see him. Going to go a little lighter color for this fleshy part in here. Oh, yeah, you have not been feeling well either. You're doing better? It was horrible for us here. Still trying to be able to breathe. And this little jack-o'-lantern was not drawn with any reference photo. He was just made up. Made up in my mind. Yeah, that's absolutely true because um, Lou and I were completely different. Our symptoms were completely different. Of course, me, unfortunately, with my fibromyalgia, it like definitely beat the heck out of my body. And it's still lingering. Luckily, I can do breathing treatments and that helps. There we go. Thank you. Okay. Yay, we have the start of a pumpkin. We have the start of a pumpkin. There's a lot more I want to do with this pumpkin. It needs to be darkened up, of course, but just so in the interest of time, so I can keep kind of blocking stuff in. Oh, that's great. Yeah, it was like when Lou got, because it started with him, and when he got it, I was like quarantined him, and it was already too late. Like from the moment that first test said, then it was already a couple days later. I was like, you might as well come out of quarantine. I'm not waiting on you anymore because I feel like crap. I'm done. I was like, that's it. So yeah. But I'm just glad to be back streaming today because I've missed everybody. It's been a time. It's been a time. I wanted to do so bad last Thursday, and I was just like, I can't. I couldn't even like catch my breath. Oh, good. I hope you do. I hope you do. I want to see some pumpkins. I was like trying to make him look fierce. I don't know if he looks fierce, but that was the goal. All right, let's get some glow going on in here because he's gonna be lit up. Right on the headless horseman, he's all like fiery. And that one was a little darker than I wanted. I wanted more like that because I'm gonna want to add in, lift some of that out. I'm gonna want to add in maybe like the texture through the back side, seeing the back wall of the pumpkin. So that's gonna change. So what we see here is not what it will finish like. And again, if I don't finish this today, I will finish and I will have it where you can see the whole video. It won't be me explaining anything. It'll just be creating the artwork. And I'll do that for you for Tuesday. I'm going to try to get my Halloween episode out on Thursday, next Thursday, because I won't be live. But I'm going to try to get the Halloween episode out that day. I have to have like anesthesia in the morning, and I thought, I'm not going to be trying to go live after that. Nothing major. And I don't have this tape down. And with all the water and stuff that I put on here, I do have some buckling happening, but it hasn't been too bad. And again, if you've joined us late, this is the Be Inspired watercolor paper from the Bee Paper Company, which so far the only place I have been able to find it is Walmart. And again, this was like 50 sheets of this on this pad for less than, or right around that $10 range. And I'm like, you can't beat that for a paper that is actually holding up fairly decent. It's not pilling. It is holding up pretty decent to the amount of water I'm throwing at it here. I'm trying some lifting there. And yeah, let's see if I lift that up. Yeah, it is not. There's not a lot of warping at all. Let me see if I can't lift that and show you. Like, if you see that paper, there's a little bit of buckle right here. Yeah, so you just pop that out, but not a whole lot. So far I'm impressed. I am liking it. All right, let me see. I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to wet this. Oh, that's not the side of the stick. Oh, yeah, it is. I'm like, that's not the side of the stick I wanted to wet. It is. It is. My palette. Grab my palette. What I want to do is I want to make a diluted neutral, very, very pale gray wash. Something that I can come in and paint, like the shadow part of the fingers. Too much. Yeah, more like that. It's a little darker in this spot here, but I can come back over it with the white probably once that's dry and fix or adjust that. It's not exactly the way I wanted it to look. And I think that like the way that it's being held there, that's like really a little deceiving. But anyways. Oh, did you get them? Oh, did you get them? I meant to ask you that, Rob, if you received your supplies from the art supply sample tier. hopefully you have. So that's a great question, Jacqueline. As far as that goes, now I have a palette. I have like the Caran d'Ache palette that you can. Do I have it right here? Unfortunately, I don't think I have it handy. But anyways, I'll show that to you guys. I'll show that to you guys another time. I've shown it before. It's textured, and it's like textured on one side, smooth on the other. And you could certainly take the stick in and mark on that. It would leave that mark, and then wet that, and then take it to paint. As far as you asked, can I scribble it on the palette? You see there, this is just a plastic palette, so that is putting some on there. I can absolutely come back with some water, activate that, and then paint from this. Certainly. You can certainly come in there and get that. I hope that answers your question. You could definitely do it on that Caran d'Ache palette as well. Or you could just take like a little craft knife and scrape some of the block into the well and do it, activate it that way. So you could do that also. Oh, there you go. Yep, that's a great way too. Let me just share that for the benefit of others. There we go. This I'm gonna work much darker for up here. I'm trying to think now. I can't really see as many of my lines. Because I did erase most of them because I was using my Tombow Mono. This is a wonderful pencil I got with my Powerful Pack box. It doesn't smudge. It just stays put. So, yeah, scraping. Yeah, see, Justice says scraping is better. As far as trying to work on the palette. Here I'm just going to get a light wash in. This is going to be the fabric, you know, like his cloak and his arm outstretched there. And I'll just build up the values and get them darker as I go. Because this will end up being almost black. What I'll probably do is come in with the stick directly after this is dried and really darken this up a lot faster. And this is like the cuff of the shirt. lot more work to do with this guy. I'm going to keep at that, and I will certainly record the rest of it and share that with you on, oh, 1 second. Sorry, guys. Okay. That was Lou that sent me a message, and he never messages me unless he needs something, because he knows when we're live. Okay. He's asking me, did I want him to get pizza and bring pizza home? And I'm saying, yes. Bring me home some pizza. It's what's for dinner. Anyways, I'm going to keep building that. This is just basic blocked in. So, yeah, I'm going to keep working at this. It's a little off. It just doesn't feel quite right in my mind. So, I'll just keep tweaking at that. And I will share that Tuesday. I'll finish it and get that video up, and so you'll see that on Tuesday. Yeah, absolutely. Great question, George. Yes. This is nowhere near, this is just basic blocked in. Like, this is going to be like black. And this is really dark shadow, like in the cuff of like his sleeve. And he's actually like, if he's holding it out, like if I'm holding it out towards you, you know, you see like the pinky is going to be closest to my body, so the pinky, and then you might see part of the thumb. I don't even know. I'm gonna have to grab a pumpkin and make sure that what I have here is what I absolutely want. And so anyways, I'm gonna tweak that, but I will show you everything. So getting you to this point, which will be really quick, but the rest of it, we'll get to see that on Tuesday. So tune in on Tuesday to see this get finished up. For now, I'm going to kind of set it aside. I love the texture I'm getting, though, like up in here for like the part of the pumpkin. I'm liking it. It definitely has a long ways to go. We've got to darken up some things, and I want to see inside. Like on the other side, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'll cut up a pumpkin this weekend and check it out. Look at it. Get myself a reference. I'll make this guy into a pumpkin so that I can see. I don't know. But I will finish this up for Tuesday. Let's go back to, because I'm actually not forgetting. Let's go back to the beginning, where we were talking about these guys and what's gonna move, what's not. So these are definitely, it's all dry. There's nothing. Everything feels completely dry. It's been an hour. Hopefully that's good. So let's start with the OMS. That was when we blended with OMS. So let me just write these down. This is like my favorite pencil. This is a Graphic Gear 300 by Pentel. Love this pencil. So this was OMS. This guy was alcohol. And then, of course, here we had water, and this was painted with a brush, right? With a brush and water. Directly to the paper. So that's what we had. That's what we did. In case you missed that part in the beginning, that's what we did when we were talking about different ways to create or blend our Inktense from our Inktense pencils. So with OMS, now this is just water. So water on my brush. Right? And that is definitely dry. That was dry. So yep, water on the brush. It is definitely, look at how much. Wow. Look how much we can actually come in and activate. I don't know if this is showing up for you guys like it's showing up for me, but I was able to activate all of that and move it. OMS, no. That's a hard no. Don't use OMS. If you want them to be set and fixed and permanent, OMS is not the way to go. You don't need OMS. And again, like my thought is, why would you use OMS if you can blend it with water? Again, we were talking about the fact that with like the alcohol, that pigment didn't move as much, so it kind of stayed put if I wanted to set it with the alcohol. But can we set it with alcohol? So with the alcohol one, just I'm going to go to the bottom here. Okay, not as bad, but it's still moving. Right, that is still moving. Will it blend like this blended? I mean, that blended like I had never touched it. It is definitely not moving around as much as we are getting movement, but not like when OMS was on it. So alcohol does do somewhat of the job to set it, right? There's that. Let me get that closer for you guys to see. Okay, OMS, that like really, I might as well not have used it. And then now, once we use water and the water set, so that time, right? That time, we didn't have too much problem. I think he's forgetting that I'm live because he's like messaging me, asking me questions, and yeah. See, that's not doing anything else. So that pretty much did set. So I think the first time when I went over that leaf, like you guys were talking about, I probably just didn't finish that. Okay. Painted with a brush. There you go. A little bit of movement where it was thicker, but not really much at all. Pretty much set. So yeah, you're not going to have that reactivation like you would gouache or watercolor, stuff like that with the water. I would say just stick with the water, right? Just stick with the water. Why not? That's what it was, Derwent put out that it was designed to work with, and yeah, I hope that helped though. So here we talked about like using our file and dropping it in, kind of like the brush show effect. So there you can see, you get the sparkle. So if you want those specks, like how great would that be for stars? If we were doing like a galaxy, especially with the white. If we took, you ready for this? Let's just do this like super fast. Super fast. Fastest galaxy painting ever. Okay. So I definitely have this wet wash here. Can we come in with the, I don't know how much that was going to look like galaxy, but you know, whatever. You guys get the point. This is just a really fast, my mind wants to know. I'm going to take the white stick. Which is supposed to be opaque, so just scraping that in there. And I bet if I had that really dark, that would be showing up much better. I can tell you though, like if I get that close, see the specks? So that could be a great way to throw some stars on after the fact. And I could just come from up nice and high and give a mist down over that so that I'm not pushing it around. You see, like the paper just kind of lifted. We're gonna have to do some more experimenting with that. That could be fun. Okay. See, look at that. Now that they're all nice and wet, so when that dries, that white should stay. But what do you guys think of that? That definitely worked. And again, you could paint your galaxy first, let it dry. In the interest of time today, we didn't do that. But you could certainly paint your background, let it dry, then come back with a wet wash and do the white on top after that. And so Joseph says, as it dries, the white gets whiter. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And I can dry it one moment. I don't know if you guys, I don't think mine blocks stuff out. Like Joseph does when you guys can hear, I'm sure you can hear the heat tool. There we go. It's not fully dry, but there you can see it. Lots of stars. So that's a great way to put some on. And again, that was just using that little foot file. No magic for me. No. I don't think I have the noise canceling turned on, and that's probably why. So no, I do not have a magic hairdryer like Joseph does. My heat tool makes all the noise. It's because usually I just reach and mute my mic, but it's out of reach today. So anyhow, that was, I'm like, where's the packaging? Dollar Tree, folks. Dollar Tree, your local dollar store. It was just a foot file, a 2-in-1 foot file that I thought, I'm not using it as a foot file, but the grading side that it has, and then the sanding side that it has, I was like, I could just throw this in my art bag, and that would be wonderful to, like this, right? Whether that be using it with pastels or the Inktense blocks, or whatever you can come up with, charcoal, whatever it is. Then this side here I could use to maybe quickly sharpen. So Jacqueline said it was not that loud. Good. But my voice came through. Okay, perfect. All right, so there you have it, right? Like a quick way to make some wonderful stars, or maybe snow. If the snow is falling, I'm going to be using Inktense a lot more. I want to really dive into them. I'll finish that project and share that with you. Huge thank you to Joseph and Tara, as always, for being here and taking care of all of the modding duties. I had a great time. It was so great to be back with all of you. I hope that you had fun hanging out. If you have not already, consider subscribing to the channel, and it'll let you chat when we are live. That is one of the benefits of subscribing. Huge thank you to patrons for all of your support, as always. Once this finishes processing, I am going to go ahead and right here, throw another video up that you might like to watch. And I will see you in that video if you're watching on the replay right after we're finished. So yeah, until next time, everybody, keep creating. No live stream next week, but I'm trying to get my Halloween special out for Thursday. So no live stream Thursday, but hopefully we can do that. I will see you on Tuesday with a finished pumpkin. And have a great week. Have a great weekend. Keep creating. See you in the next one. Bye, guys.